Howdy everybody, it's Andy Nolch here, the Space Cowboy, with another KR, another knowledge report. Here, ready, rockety, riggedy, griggity, biggity, to bring you a cavalcade of funness. Because I'm having fun. Anyway, this KR is all about how Scientologists need to tell people more their wins. And how they should make videos and put them on the internet or write things on the internet. Now obviously people have done that. But the thing with the internet, and part of the reason why I started this YouTube channel, was because there is a preponderance of negative information about Scientology on the internet. Because a lot of the people who don't like Scientology are very active and very passionate, and they seem to make a lot of videos and put them out there on the internet. But a lot of the people who like Scientology, they're just cool and happy and they just do Scientology, and they don't bother like making a video and putting it on the internet every week about how much they like Scientology. It's kind of like how, let's say you look at McDonald's and you can have heaps of people go there and have a meal that they like and then leave. But if someone has a meal that they really don't like, they can be really difficult and make a real big noise and can complain about this bad burger. But all the people who are happy, who actually like their burger, they don't do that much about it. Like, they're not going to go and make a video on the internet exposing McDonald's and how good their burgers are. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's something about when someone gets annoyed, it really motivates them and to get revenge or to just go on this bent of hate and just to really attack something. But when someone likes something, they just kind of like it and they're like, yeah, okay, cool. It's interesting. But that's what we've got going on, in that there is more hate about Scientology on the internet than there is positive information about Scientology. And there's a plenty of positive side. There's a lot on the positive side to Scientology. There's a great side to it. So that's why I just want to do this KR to let people know that it's a problem that SIOs aren't talking about their wins enough and aren't making videos and aren't posting things on the internet enough. Now I think part of the reason might be the fact that if they do go and post a video on the internet about their wins, it gets hate. Like, these people who are on the internet can be, I don't know, there's a lot of hate going on. And they might post something like, they'll go, oh, Xenu or something. Or like, I mean, you just have to look at the comments on my videos on my YouTube channel, and they're pretty brutal. And I don't think SIOs want that, because they're like, oh shit, you know, I mean, I just want, like, maybe they're worried that if they post a video, then in the comments thread, people will post bad things about Scientology, and then someone will see that, and overall, they'll look at the videos, they'll look at the comments, and overall they'll think Scientology's bad. So the person who made that video talking about their wins, or made that post on the internet talking about their wins, is kind of like, well, I was better off not saying my wins at all, because now it's like harms Scientology. Do you see what I mean? Like, Scientology's been dirtied on the internet. And it's hard to just post something and just not receive negative comments. So I think SIOs are staying away from talking about their wins and stuff. So I think they should talk about their wins, and they should just ignore the negative comments, and I think you can delete them. I don't even really delete mine, which I think I probably should do, but I haven't really learnt how. But also I just feel I've got better things to do than bother deleting these attack comments. But anyway, so SIOs, you listen to this thing, whether you're church members or you're independent Scientologists or you're squirrels and you're doing some funky weird mixture of Scientology and kinesiology or some shit, go and make videos and put them on the internet, or go and make comments and say, hey, I've improved a lot from doing some LRH tech. You know, I've improved from doing Scientology. Put some positive stuff out there on the internet, because there's just not enough positive stuff. And a lot of people have had really cool experiences with Scientology and have had amazing things happen that would make for great stories and great videos. So just go and put it out there. Put out the good word. Let people know. Like on the podcast interviews that I do, sometimes you hear stories about a win that a Scientologist might have had. One of them might be like they had like an out-of-body experience, they exteriorized. Another one might be that they, like the whole universe, like changed. Like they did some sort of crazy shit where they went out of the Matrix or something, like something wild. The whole universe shifted and everything was like, whoa. And they can't even just put it into words because it's so amazing, right? Put those on the internet. Tell people about it. Put it out there. Get the word out there. Because, you know, I don't care about these haters and that sort of stuff. I don't even know if they deserve to be OT. You know what I mean? And so I would like everyone to get help, but to be honest, you know, just who cares about them? You know, we want to clear the planet. You know what I mean? We want to help people and that sort of stuff. But you know what? If it's not possible, then it's not possible. Just give up on the losers. Just stuff them. They're messed in the head. They're too far gone. You can't polish a turd. Just forget about them. But do you know what there are out there? There are good people, and there are people who just don't know what the hell Scientology is, and they want to have cool experiences as well. And there's heaps of new agers that are interested in, like, what the hell is Scientology? You know what I mean? So just put the information out there for the good people who want to improve and who aren't stubborn pricks and who are like, can be open-minded and think, oh, you know, what is this topic and stuff? Because really the truth is that Scientology is that powerful and deep that, you know, let's say you spend half an hour doing this thing, writing this thing or making this video or whatever. If you just save one person, if one person watches it and they go, you know what, I'm actually going to read an LRH book, or you know what, I'm actually going to try a Scientology course, and then they actually get into Scientology properly and become a Scientologist, that person, you've saved that person forever. Like if it's one of these low-tone people that just have a sort of bad experience with their auditing and then argue and leave, you know, like basically like fussy customers or whatever, you know, you're not going to, that person hasn't been saved, but nothing's going to save them. They're just too messed up. But so let's say someone like me, who I got into it when I was like 21, you know, you get into it and you become a new person. You become a person that no longer is requiring help from other people, but you can actually help yourself. You can actually think for yourself. You can actually learn. You can investigate. It's kind of like, imagine you got a car and you always, every year you have to take the car to the mechanic, right? Well, imagine if that car could have something put in it that requires that it never has to go to the mechanics, because it can automatically solve its own problems and fix itself and change its own oil and stuff. That's what Scientology is like. That's sort of what it's done to me, isn't it? It's like, it's taken a person and said, you know, here's information, here's stuff that can help you, and then suddenly you're in tip-top shape. Well, yeah, sort of after a few years, it's not like it's sudden, but you're suddenly in a condition where you can look after yourself, and it's repaired that part of you that is self-improvement. It's enabled you to improve yourself. It's enabled you to teach yourself. So instead of having to go to a mechanic or whatever, instead of having to go to a guitar teacher, like, you can learn things yourself. You can do all these things yourself. You don't need to rely on your environment. this is a really big thing. This is why it's life-changing. It's really important. So even if only one person gets into Scientology from what you put on the internet, that is a really big thing. And I got into Scientology because I had a few coincidences happen in my universe, but probably it was maybe 3 coincidences. Like someone just mentioned it as a word, and then something else happened, and then I saw a DVD of The Industry of Death, which was talking about the corruptness of psychiatry. So if I hadn't seen that DVD, I don't think I ever would have gotten into Scientology. Like maybe 10 years down the track or something like that, because I'm interested in things. But that DVD was given to my mum by someone. So all they did was give out a DVD, right? And then it landed in my possession and I watched it, right? And that was so worth it. Like whoever gave that DVD to my mum, because they knew it was about psychiatry, and I think they sort of disagreed a bit with psychiatry, but they weren't Scientologists or anything. Probably Scientologists gave that to them or something. But then my mum gave it to me, but just said, watch this because it's interesting, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I don't know, I think it's so valuable what Scientology does to a person, how it changes a person, and it wakes them up to the truth of this world. It's so deep what's going on. It's so amazing, right? That even if they'd spent $1 million, like filming the DVD, packaging it, sending it out because it's well filmed and all that sort of stuff, and paying people to do interviews, and even if it was $1 million to do that whole DVD, The Industry of Death, and only me it saved, I feel like that was worth it. And I'm not saying like I'm worth $1 million, but it's just like I'm so thankful for that, because I watched it and liked it and thought, oh, I wonder what Scientology is, because the DVD actually had nothing to do with about Scientology, but it was made by Scientologists and it was good, so it made me think, I wonder what Scientology is then. Like, it really got me interested. Like, what I'm trying to say is saving a person, right? Like saving them, actually fixing them, setting them on a path of enlightenment. It's so valuable. You just can't put a price on it. It's such a special thing. And it's just like let's say look at my YouTube channel, right? Now, I don't know how many KRs I've made. Well, sort of 30, but then I made some other videos and called them some other name. So in total, maybe it's around 50 videos. So that's a lot of hours, really, because each one's like at least half an hour. That's a lot of time, and that's effort and all that sort of stuff. If I've saved one person, if I've made one person actually get into Scientology and start their spiritual enlightenment adventure and get out of the trap of life, if only one person has gotten into it, then that's all worth it, because I know how valuable it is. And I might think, oh, it's a shame that, I made all these videos and put all this effort in, only one person got saved. But I'll be thinking, but you know what? By golly, is it worth it? It's so valuable. It's just like, I saved that being, and that's why I'm so thankful that whoever made that CCHR DVD and gave it out. It's just like, that's so valuable. This is part of the reason why the church, even though I'm not involved in it and don't like the church, this is why they charge so much for their courses, because the Scientologists who go to do the courses know how valuable these courses are. And they know that it's like, okay, I'm paying $3,000 for this course, but you can't put a price on this. Like, as in, this is worth like $100,000. Like, this is so special, you know? I don't know, man. It's interesting. It's amazing. So don't ever feel, with disseminating Scientology or putting your wins on the internet or whatever, don't ever feel like it was a waste of time, because, you know, one person could come across it and think, I wonder what Scientology is. That's all they need, because that's how I started off with, and that's probably how heaps of people who got into Scientology started off, is, oh, what's this? Like, it's this interest, like, oh, and that's all you need, because next minute they'll end up ordering a book on the internet, or they'll actually walk into an org, or they'll, you know, watch some DVD that they found or something, and then, you know, their foot's in the door, and they're going to start doing more Scientology and start going, Jesus Christ, what the hell is this? This is amazing. You know what I mean? What? This is how you study? I've been going to school for years. I didn't even know how to study. What the hell? I mean, recently, right, the school system doesn't teach you how to study. Doesn't even teach you how to read properly. It's crazy. People don't even know this. They think they know how to read. They don't even know how to read. Seriously, they don't even know how to read. It's crazy. Anyway, I recently have been investigating what happened during World War II and what actually happened to Hitler when he died and stuff. Now, I could never have done that if I hadn't studied Scientology and learnt how to read and learnt how to investigate things and stuff, and just basically had my intelligence increase and be woken up. You just can't do these things. You know, and it's amazing what happened to Hitler. Apparently he totally survived the war. Like, he fled to Argentina and stuff. Like, all the evidence indicates that it's very likely. They did a deal, apparently. This is just on a side note. I'll just mention it because it's super interesting. They did a deal, the Germans did a deal with the Americans, and they actually gave them the nuclear technology, and they gave them some rocket technology and stuff like that, in exchange for immunity. So some of these top Germans, you know, they were like, you know, we're going to lose the war, so let's just give these things to the Americans as long as they protect us and they let us go free. So some of the top Nazis, including Hitler, got to run away to South America and got let off. And their deaths were faked and stuff. And they didn't actually die, but you look at the Wikipedia page and it says that they most likely died and all this sort of stuff, but it's just not true. Like, you know, it's just, they literally got away. Like, it's so deep, the truth, you know what I mean? Because the American intelligence agencies who got the nuclear information on how to build a bomb and stuff, they can't come out publicly and say we made a deal with the Nazis and we let them go free, because everyone will go, we want to kill Hitler, what the hell, you know, and it will cause big controversy. So it all went underground, all went secret, and was like, yeah, okay, you know, we're going to let these Nazis go, we're going to cover up all the evidence that they're alive and pretend like they died and stuff, and we get all this sick-ass nuclear information. And then after that, of course, then they went to Japan, they bombed Japan because they had all this information. And they were developing in the Manhattan Project, they were developing their own nuclear bomb, but the Nazis had actually developed it before them. I'm not kidding. The Nazis just hadn't fully developed it. They were like 90% there, and they didn't quite have the crafts, like the aircraft to fly over, because I think they were wanting to bomb America or whatever. And they just didn't, it was just too late. Like, literally, you know, America and Russia caught the Germans just in time. Like, if the war had gone for like another few more months, it's quite possible that the Nazis could have won or something. I'm not kidding. That's how close it was, because the Nazis had the bomb before the Americans and stuff. Anyway, and also on that note as well, okay, the Nazis were evil and stuff, but also the Americans dropped 2 of these freaking bombs on Japan. That's so freaking evil. Like, the Americans are so evil. Like, not the American people, but the American government. Like, I looked at the war and I'm just like, all sides were equally horrific and actually evil. If you really look at the data and investigate it, that's so wrong. Like, think about that. Imagine dropping a bomb on a city and just killing all these people and like flattening the city. Like, this brutal bomb. Like, that's so wrong. Like the Americans were like, oh, we got to stop Hitler. He's going to drop a bomb on America. He's so evil and crazy and shit. And then they're the evil and crazy ones who dropped the bomb on Japan. So it's just like, it's just so hypocritical, you know what I mean? Like all the propaganda we receive and stuff about history and all that sort of stuff makes out the West and America to be such a perfect thing that stopped this crazy Germany and stuff. And it's just like, the West is damn disgustingly corrupt. Anyway, these are the sort of things you wake up to when your intelligence increases and all this sort of stuff. It's epic. But I digress. What I'm saying is that Scientology leads you towards the truth. And it's so valuable because when you don't know the truth, you end up being someone who gets blown up by an atomic bomb. Like, you're a victim. You end up being someone who has their kid damaged by vaccines and brain damaged and stuff, and you think, oh, it must just be my kid was born retarded. Oh, there's nothing wrong with vaccines. I trust the doctors. No. There's people who talk about it on the internet. It's just crazy. You're in this bizarre zone of just brainwashed of just like, yeah, I just trust everything I'm told and all this sort of shit. But when you get woken up to the truth and your abilities increase and your smartness increases, you can look around, you can go, hold on a second, something seems not right here, and you can investigate things. It's kind of like this. I'll give you the car example. The car's driving along, and imagine if the car had no ability to spot problems. Like, do you know how it's got the engine light, like check engine or running out of fuel? Imagine if it didn't have those lights and the car just drove along and then it would just break down and stop because it had no warning light. But when you increase the car's abilities, right, suddenly it can go, oh, hold on a second, fuel's running low, you have to go to the fuel station. Or, oh, hold on a second, the engine needs an oil change. Oh, you need to stop the car now, otherwise you'll damage it. Like, the car's smarter with those engine lights. Do you know what I mean? Those warning lights. So a person's like that. They can have warning lights. And when you do Scientology, it like gives you the warning lights. So it makes you smarter. So you switched on and you're like, oh, what's going on? Oh, I can see this. Whereas before, it was like you're just going around unaware and not switched on, and you don't have any warning lights going on, and then you end up leading it, your existence is harder, you know? Yeah, it's rougher, you know? And so it's just so valuable when you give someone these abilities and they improve themselves, you know? So you've got to let people know about these sort of wins. You've got to get the word out there if you're a Scientologist. I mean, I'm being pretty serious here. Like, you need to just shut up. Don't care about the little negative comments that someone will write on your YouTube video, like, Xenu, some stupid little comment, right? A lot of these people are ugly, unhealthy, losers, internet nerds. They've got cases like charged up like a Christmas tree. They've got OCD. They're messed up people, a lot of them. These creepy internet nerdy type losers and stuff. These low-tone people and stuff, you know, they're messed up and they've got some evil purposes. Like, some of them are nasty and shit. And they're the ones who are writing these comments and then putting you off. And there's also, on top of that, the actual paid trolls, which are just stupid little robotic comments to try and put you off. Because, you know, there's trolls that are paid to attack Scientology, particularly independent Scientology. So just don't care about it. Just respect the people that... Just expect that respectful people will be watching or reading whatever you're putting out there, and just do it. If it's only a 5-minute video, or if it's only a 200 words, just say to people, hey, look, I went into Scientology and I had some amazing experiences and I really improved, and let people know. Don't be so scared about it. You know? It kind of annoys me. This part of the reason why I actually found out about independent Scientology and woke up to the truth of the church was because I was on the internet and I was noticing that there was only bad things about Scientology on the internet. And I remember mentioning to some Scientologists when I was a part of the church, like saying like, hey, who's going to wear this hat? Who the hell is putting the word out there and letting people know about this stuff? Like Scios just tend to keep to themselves because like all the bad PR and all that sort of stuff and the attacks on the internet. Scientologists have genuinely learnt to be actually shy. But amongst other Scientologists, they're happy to talk about their wins and all that sort of stuff. But outside of that, they're not really disseminating. Like maybe they were doing it in the 70s, but nowadays they're not really doing as much. They're keeping it to themselves. And it's just like this little secret, almost like a secret society that they're a part of, that they're like, they're just like, they know that they're more switched on to what's going on in the world about them, but they're not letting people know and waking people up. And I understand, right? Somehow it feels uncomfortable telling people you're a Scientologist because I guess you're just going, they're going to come at me with all this, they're going to think I'm weird, or it might mean I get less work, or it might mean that they're going to think badly of me or something. And so it just makes you feel like not talking and not disseminating and not promoting Scientology. But I would say just drop that, you know what I mean? And just say it. Just be like, yeah, I'm a Scientologist, and go, and if they go, oh, I've heard bad stuff, go, yeah, that's the church, it sort of got corrupted and stuff, but I'm an independent Scientologist, It's pretty simple and easy. And just remember, just you saying that person who's listening, that might save that person. That might have an incredible impact on that person's life, because after that they go, oh, and then they order a book on the internet or they walk into an org. It's so valuable. It's so valuable. And when I first got into Scientology, I was so pissed off that I hadn't found out about it earlier. I was just like, what the hell? I actually remember when I was 16 or something, I got a pamphlet handed to me from a Scientologist, but it wasn't about Scientology, it was just telling bad information about drugs. And being a teenager, of course, you hear that sort of crap at school, so you're just like, oh yeah, of course cocaine's bad or whatever, you just throw it in the bin. Imagine if they'd handed me something that says, do you know what Scientology is? It can increase your IQ. Or do you have problems studying and like to study easier? Try Scientology. Or have you heard of L. Ron Hubbard? He's got the Guinness World Record for the most amount of books authored, the most amount of written materials ever. He's the biggest writer the world's ever seen, and a lot of people don't even know who he is. Right? Imagine if they were handing out pamphlets like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, it's good, you want to help people and stop people getting off drugs. Okay, fair enough. But seriously, just hand them a piece of paper that says the word Scientology, and you could change that person's life forever. When I got into Scientology, right, like I said, I saw the DVD, but also I was in a shop and someone mentioned how the owners were Scientologists. It was just a casual comment like, oh, the owners are Scientologists. But just that little mention made me go, I've got to check this out. I've got to look into Scientology, because I'd seen the DVD and I was like, yeah, I've got to look into Scientology. These little things can make a difference. So you just saying to someone, yeah, I'm a Scientologist, that can change their life forever. It's changed my life forever. It's so valuable. It's just so valuable. You can't put a price on it. And, a lot of people, it's not just Scientology that's valuable. It's just the fact that they realize that the world isn't what they thought it was. And then they end up getting into other things, like it might be yoga, or it might be like other religions or something, but it opens up a whole new area of life. It opens up their mind, instead of just being stubborn and thinking, man evolved from apes, there's only the physical universe, history is what you're told at school. You're just in this stuck, concrete way. Personally, I think that kind of life is really shit and boring, to be honest. And so you're going along and it's just shit and boring. It's sort of like for me when I was 21, it's just shit and boring. And then someone says something like, hey, you can bend a spoon with your mind, you know what I mean? Or you get hit with this unusual information in Scientology, and it opens you up to suddenly being like, oh, what's this about gems? And then, you know, for me personally, I find out that we're some sort of energy field and the gems have vibrations and the gems can affect you. And I tried a gem and 3 hours later I was actually different and I was like, I cannot believe this. This gem is changing me. And then also I find out that gems apparently cancel out EMF, so like radiation or phone radiation or some crap like that. It nullifies them and stuff. Because we've got EMF frequencies or some shit all around us and they can make us feel different. And so we can get rid of that. Just fascinating. Just fascinating. But if I'd never gone to Scientology, I remember I never would have thought, you know, why the hell someone like thinking this little rock is like special. It's just a little rock. You know what I mean? I would have just been like passed off as just a little rock. You know? Or if you hear someone's claims they're abducted by aliens or something, you know, I would just be like, okay, that person might be making up or might be a bit crazy or might have been drunk or something when they experienced it or something. But then in Scientology, you hear a little bit about aliens and then suddenly you're open to hearing more and go, well, what's your story? And then they start telling you their story about being abducted. And it's like, what the fuck? It's like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's something there. And then you investigate it more and you realize, yeah, there is something going on. Basically, there are things that go on in this world that because they only happen 1% of the time, people dismiss them as being ridiculous. Like seeing a ghost, for example. It's very rare to see a ghost. But it totally happens and they totally exist and people totally see them. They really are a real thing. But just because it's so uncommon, so people think it's bullshit. You know what I mean? But it's not. I mean, I was with a friend the other day who's a skeptic. Well, he's changed now since I've been telling him stuff. But a few years ago, he was a proper skeptic. Like, he totally just believed in the physical universe. He believed all these spiritual kooky people were just all kooky people, basically. You know, he was so typical brainwash. It's just a physical universe, and it's just when you die, and you just, you know, stories about UFOs is all just whack and all this. Is a total classic skeptic, right? I mean, not one of these ones that post on the internet actually weirdly active, but he was a proper skeptic. The other day, he saw a ghost, and it was really interesting. I didn't get to see it, you know, which is, you know, I'm jealous that he got to see a ghost. But it was interesting to see it coming from him because it was just like, it so messes with his reality because it's like, what the fuck? Because I imagine he was thinking, Andy's some sort of crazy dude who would say he saw a ghost, but not me. You know what I mean? And so now he's the one who saw the ghost. It's just wild. You know? But he saw it, and I believe that he saw it because I've heard so many stories about it. It's one of those ghosts where there's two different types of ghosts. There's one where you see like the field energy or whatever, the white sort of thing, and then there's sometimes where you see a ghost that just you full on see a person and they just disappear. So you're looking at me right now. Imagine just seeing me and then seeing me disappear. And Ellen DeGeneres talks about this. I've heard, like, I mean, you can hear heaps of people who tell stories and sort of ghosts. I know for sure they exist without a doubt. Right. Anyway, so it's just interesting to see a skeptic see it because he'll never be the same again. Because he'll just suddenly be like, hold on a second, there's more to life. And that's what Scientology is like. It's suddenly like, hold on a second, there's more to life, mate. It's like, wake up, you know what I mean? Like, just don't, the theory of, like, whatever these physical science laws and stuff, they're not bulletproof, they can be bended, you know what I mean? Your thoughts can create reality, you know, you can suddenly see a ghost, I mean, you live after you die, just all these funky things, and they're really true, you know? And so, you know, anyway, I've just been going on, but you've really got to get out there, you Scientologists, and you've got to start putting your wins out there. Someone should start, particularly, a YouTube channel that's really specific to tech stuff, or like a podcast that's specific to tech stuff, really a thing for auditors so that they can communicate and they can learn how to, I don't know, run processes and stuff. But just something where they can get more information that can help them become a better auditor. I think there's a market for that. I think there's a little niche for that. But I'm not saying people should go start YouTube channels and stuff. I'm just saying just make one video, you know, or just post one post on the internet that's just like what I got out of Scientology or my wins from Scientology, or write one book, which Michael Moore apparently is writing a book at the moment, which is great. His is obviously his positive experiences with Scientology. I mean, he's going to talk about some of the bad stuff involved with the church, but like, as in, it's good that he's gone and writing a book, like as in putting the information where there's all these negative books. For example, you search Scientology books, what do you get hit with on the internet? You get hit with all these negative books. You know what I mean? And it's just ridiculous. There shouldn't be so much hate about it, you know? Like, yes, the church got taken over by the government and the movement got corrupted, and a bunch of left-wing low-tone losers and stuff got upset with their experience with the church, and then they post things on the internet. But there shouldn't be so much of them, you know? There should be... Scientologists need to start actually taking these people on and actually arguing back in these comments and stuff. Like, don't waste your life. You know, don't comment heaps, but just do a bit of a punch back. I feel like L. Ron Hubbard, right, he's not around, but I feel like if he saw what was on the internet, he would be thinking, you know, why aren't you sires getting in there and punching back to some of these comments? You know, why aren't you going out there and posting a long debrief on all your wins on Scientology or something? You know, why aren't you making a video, you know, getting in there and punching back and handling its people and their lies and their false data? Just get in there and just do it, you know, and boom, boom. Hit them around, hit these losers around, you know, and put out your wins and just go, hey, dickhead Chris Shelton, right? You low-tone loser, right? Chris Shelton, you might have not got any wins from Scientology, but you know what? I did. And you know what? I know a lot of people who got wins from Scientology. Incredible wins. Wins that are just beyond belief, not just like, oh, I can communicate better. You know what I mean? Life-changing wins. So you might say that Scientology overall has a bad impact on a person, but that's just your opinion. And that is not scientific, okay? That's not scientific, all right? Because overall, Scientology actually helps people. I'm serious. There's so many people who have done Scientology. Jerry Seinfeld's done Scientology and said it was good. He tried like a communication course. So many people have done it, but you don't hear them. You don't see Jerry Seinfeld starting some TV show, going around attacking or going around telling about how we love Scientology or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you just walk into a Scientology church and you'll see their files of people who have tried Scientology, and there's a lot of names there, a lot. But what are the people doing? They're not telling people about it. Because it just seems that, like, when someone's really upset, then they just make a lot of noise and make a big fuss. But someone can think that Scientology is amazing and can have such a great experience that they can even start crying. I've seen someone cry, they had such a good experience from Scientology, right? They had such a big win, they were actually crying. Yet, I bet you if I looked at what he did with the past year of his life, it'll be just him working, him hanging out at home, and then him going to church and doing more Scientology and liking it. Is he making a video and putting it on the internet? No. Is he going out and starting up some hate speech website internet thing that's just attacking Scientology and saying how bad it is? No. There's something about when someone's pissed off, they just go on some vendetta and binge, and they're just obsessed, like Chris Shelton. They're just obsessed with hating on Scientology. They can't get it out of their system. Whereas someone who's had a great win from Scientology just feels great, and next minute you hear they're like flying airplanes or riding on boats and just loving life and shit. And they don't bother to go out and make all these things on the internet. They don't bother to argue with people in comments. They're just like, hey, I feel good. I know Scientology is good. Whatever, I'm just living my life. But the thing is that what I'm saying is we have to wake up. We have to hit the internet. We have to hit the internet hard, and we have to start putting the positive side of Scientology on there. We have to start telling them, hey, you idiot, you said that Hubbard, this is one of the arguments they say, you said that Hubbard let his wife get in trouble for Operation Snow White and he let Mary Sue go to jail. And Hubbard's mean because he let his wife go to jail or some shit. Right? And you have to handle them. You have to say, hey, dude, those are rumors. You're hearing stories and stuff, okay? Maybe it's true, but don't think it's the truth, okay? Because I've also heard other rumors that counteract that go against that. You know what I mean? Like, these people just say shit. Like, Chris Shelton tells you rumors, basically, and he puts it out as if it's fact. He says, this is fact, and it's just like, Chris, this is just one side of the story that you've heard. I've heard both sides, okay? And I reckon after investigating it all and looking at both sides, I reckon Hubbard was a good guy and that Scientology is good. The information's indicating that, okay? But he says, he doesn't say to you, I think that Scientology is bad, and it just seems like overall it's bad. And there are people who say this good side. He doesn't give you both a balanced point of view. He doesn't let you work out what your own truth is. I let you work out what your own truth is in this channel. Because I tell you bad stuff about the church. I tell you good stuff about Scientology and I tell you bad stuff. I'm willing to go there. And I'm willing to go there on the interviews on the podcast as well. I'm willing to say, hey, and I might do this in my next interview, I might say, what's the worst thing about Scientology? Or why shouldn't someone, I've already asked this on one of the podcast interviews, I said, why should someone not do Scientology? You know what I mean? I'm willing to go for both sides, but Chris Shelton, for example, and these Scientology haters are just never going to look at the positive side of Scientology. He's never going to actually walk into an independent org and actually try a course, for example, and make a video on it. Why? Because if he did that, he'll do a basic communication course and he'll go, hey, independent Scientology is actually all right. They're doing a communication course. It's outside the controlling strict church. And maybe Scientology is not that bad. And then suddenly his whole universe will collapse because he's spent the past 4 years of his life hating on Scientology, making all these videos, and it's too much of a head mess. And also, the fans of his YouTube channel will be like, oh, what are you doing? You're not saying Scientology is bad anymore. What? Yeah, how dare you say Scientology might be all right? They're misleading you, they're brainwashing you, they're giving you propaganda. You know how you give propaganda? There's always pros and cons, but let's say you want someone to think bad about something. All you do is just feed them all the con information. And you say, look, this is why Scientology is bad, blah, 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 blah. Like what Chris Shelton does in his videos. And then someone watches and goes, yeah, Scientology seems bad. And then I could make a video where I go, this is why Scientology is good, blah, 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 blah. And someone will be like, yeah, Scientology is good. You know what I mean? So it's just, that's how propaganda works, right? These are some of the things you sort of learn in Scientology. Because you get switched on and you learn stuff, right? So this is how the government will talk about World War II, for example. They'll say blah, 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 and they won't mention all these other bits of information and stuff. I'll leave all that sort of stuff out. They won't mention that they've cut deals with Hitler and to get advanced technology and that they did all this dodgy shit and they blew off the second atom bomb in Japan, even though apparently Japan were surrendering. So they dropped the first bomb. Firstly, even before they dropped the first bomb, Japan was almost surrendering. Then they dropped the first bomb. Then apparently Japan was pretty much had surrendered. And then they dropped another bomb. That is wild. They're not going to tell you that. They're just going to say, we're America, we're great, we're perfect, we're the perfect army, and us generals were right. These Japanese were crazy, and we had to blow them up. And so that, like, we had to tell them, we had to make sure that they surrender. And it's just like, they're just as guilty, you know what I mean? Anyway, so with the Scientology channel example, you know, these people, these Scientology haters are just giving you one side. So do you know what? Let's get back at them. Let's actually not mention anything bad about Scientology in these thingos. And that's why I'm saying, why don't you make a Scientology win video or a Scientology comment, post it in one of the groups or post it on a website or something, my wins from Scientology, and don't mention anything negative at all about Scientology, right? Even though overall you've had a good experience and stuff, but you might have had some bits of bad experience, like annoyance with this or that. Don't even mention that. Let's just play the same game that they're playing. Let's punch them back, right? Let's go get in there and hit them back because they deserve it, right? And let's just go boom and just put an absolute positive spin on Scientology and all the good information. And do exactly what they do. Give them a bit of a taste of their own medicine. And they'll watch these videos, and I bet you what's his face, Chris Shelton, might have seen some of my videos and thought, look at this guy. He's not mentioning anything bad about Scientology. How dare he? You know what I mean? Even though I do mention some stuff bad, but like as in if you just watched it for 5 minutes and you'd see where I just mentioned only good stuff, right? And you'll just be like, how dare Andy not do that, and it'll really piss him off. You know what I mean? So let's do that. Let's just go out there and just say my wins from Scientology. It was damn great. And I'll run off my wins really quickly, okay? Boom. Taught me how to study and read way better. Improved my life completely. I could do any career I wanted. Seriously, if I wanted to become an astrophysicist, I could. If I wanted to become a lawyer, I could. Like educated stuff, you know what I mean? A writer, I could do that. Boom. My ability to read and study way better. IQ shot up, without a doubt. And I've got the evidence from the IQ tests. I know it for sure. So I can study, my IQ shot right up. Next thing, my enjoyment of life shot right up. Increased heaps more. I have more energy. I'm more healthy, more switched on. I'm more happy. Third thing, I can communicate better. You know, what was the fourth thing? I woke up to the truth about the world, and I'm able to no longer, I can think for myself and I can teach myself things, which is really important. I can learn from myself. Basically, I've just been damn well saved. I've been saved from living a tough life. I'll be really honest with you. I'll be deep down honest with you. I did not like life when I was 20 years old, okay? I had this shitty job that was like this crappy job, and it was night shift, so it was unhealthy as well, because night shift isn't natural part of the rhythms and stuff. I was crappy, I was unhappy. You should have seen my personality graph, which you do in Scientology, the OCA. I mean, there was, I'm not joking about this. There were only 3 points that were above the middle line. The rest, I'm not joking, listen to this. 3 points were above the middle line. The rest were rock bottom, negative 100 on every single point. The scale goes from positive 100 to negative 100. I had 3 that were about positive 30 or something, and then the rest, it was like a shape of a building, I guess, or a skyline building. The rest were rock bottom. That is such a shit OCA. That is such, that when you're looking at OCA, a person with OCA like that, they are basically unhappy, they're hating life, they're a loser, they're struggling, they've got all these points in the undesirables. Their existence for them is horrible. But the points in the middle means, the 3 points in the middle means you can work well. So it means I can work well, and I was a good worker. So it means that he'll be okay if you hired him, but otherwise outside of that, he's such an unhappy person and he's struggling in life. That's the condition I was in when I walked into Scientology. Then after a few years of it, my graph moved up more around to the middle, and it changed every time I did it because I was changing and evolving and stuff. But it ripped them all out of that bottom level of just being terrible and really, really crap. You can't put a price on that. I mean, I'm going to be really honest with you, okay? I nearly every day was thinking, fuck, I want to kill myself. Like, every day I was just like, there was like, if something was hard, or just like, I'll just be like, this is just shit. Like, I was just tired. I was just like, this is crap. I just want to die or something like that. Like, seriously, I was just like, this is crap. Like, I'm not enjoying this at all, you know. And I did have the realization, I want to improve, you know what I mean? And I went to see a psychologist, and I didn't really get much help from them. And then at that same time as well, I'd come across Scientology, and I was like, what's this? And I was like, wow, this is really smart. And then it was just really interesting. And then also I found out how it can improve you and stuff. And so that's when I really got into it, because I was like, this is exactly what I need. I've got all these problems I need to improve and stuff. But now I'm trying to think when I last thought that I'd feel like dying, and it probably was like a year and a half ago or something. So to go from feeling shit like you want to die every day to only once every year and a half, that is such a freaking valuable thing. That is so valuable. I was depressed and I felt horrible. If you've ever had proper depression, it feels so bad. You just feel like dark and life is so crap, and you just go along with emotions, and you just, The thing that's really bad about it is that when you're in it, you don't think you can get cured, or you don't think you can get out of it. See, if I made you feel real shit right now, like I gave you the flu, you're like, okay, I feel shit for like a week, but you know you're going to come out of it. But imagine if you feel really, really depressed and there's no solution to getting out of that depression, and you just think this is you, and you just think you're born with something wrong with you, and you just feel really horrible and down. It's torture. I'm serious. It is mild torture. Put someone down on a thingo and like rip their fingernails off, and that's like intense, sudden torture. But this is like long-term torture, and it's really bad. It is so bad. And then something comes along that can actually cure that. That's so valuable, and I'm so thankful for L. Ron Hubbard and the hard work he did, and all the people who put their effort into Scientology to help people, because it's so worth it. I'm so grateful, because to cure that is unbelievable. It is so good to be cured. And now I'm at that level where I've improved so much that now I can actually see how other people are messed up and see how they're kind of like what I used to be like. And it's just interesting, because I can notice that difference. When I was feeling really terrible, I actually used to look at the average person. I used to be like, wow, look at them. They're so full of life and they have so much happiness and stuff. I was like, it's so unfair, I want to have that. And now I've gone past that. I've improved so much to look at the average person. I'm like, wow, their existence is horrible. Like their existence is messed up and stuff. What an unhappy existence. That's how far up I've gone. That's how much I've improved. It's just, I've freaking skyrocketed. It's not funny. This is freaking serious. So remember that when you're giving out a flyer, make sure you have the word Scientology on it. You know what I mean? When you're talking to someone, make sure you mention Scientology. You know, if you haven't put your wins on the internet, go and put your wins on the internet. Tell people this shit. Let them know. Because there are people out there that are suffering, you know? And they need to know about this sort of stuff. So just, you know, wake people up, let them know. You know, there's all these crappy religions and stuff, like, and they have got some good things about them, like the Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff. Like, I'm sure you can get some benefit from doing that. But I'm sure they couldn't do what Scientology has done. This is why it's got a cult following, because people really like it. You know what I mean? Like the Star Wars movie, it's got a cult following, you know. So get out there. I'm serious. Doesn't matter how busy you are. Doesn't matter that I'm not your daddy, or I'm not your senior, or I'm not your boss or anything. I'm telling you, you should do it. Go out there and do it. Accept my order. Go out there and put your wins on the internet. Wake people up. It's annoying, I know, but it's one very good thing. Try and shove it in there into your routine. Put it on your to-do list. Do it tomorrow. Do it in a week's time. Do it in your summer break. Put it in there. Bam. I'm going to pump out there on the internet something that mentions my Scientology wins to let people know. Because at the moment, it looks like this amazing thing that L. Ron Hubbard created. It looks like it's only amongst a small group of people in the world that know about this. I don't know how many, like 100,000, they're into it. But out of the whole world population, it's like a small group of people that are doing it and they're into it. And they're keeping it to themselves because of the black PR and stupid comments on the internet. So anyway, thanks for listening. I've been Andy Ultra, the Space Cowboy. Stay tuned next week for another KR. See ya.